Good morning, everybody. Orange J here with another War of the Visions video, and it is finally time to start doing the actual unit previews for the Final Fantasy VII collaboration. We've got Cloud, Tifa, Barret, Aerith coming out soon. Cloud and Tifa are coming out this week, so where better to start this series than with a Cloud unit preview? We're going to look at his stats, his skills, we're going to compare him to some other global units, and we're going to see if he's the kind of character that's going to dominate the global meta for a long time to come, or should you just go for him because it's freaking Cloud? And you know what? If you did that, I actually don't think you'd be disappointed because he's going to be pretty good. Let's find out how good he's going to be right now. Alright, now this video, like all of my Final Fantasy War of the Visions videos, is brought to you by Amazon Coins. If you need to whale out a little bit for your boy Cloud, please consider using my Amazon Coin affiliate link. It's located down in the description. Helps support the channel, helps you save on Visior. It's an awesome deal. Thank you to everybody who uses that. Like, it means a ton. Now, let's talk about our boy Cloud, and we're going to start this video like we start a lot of our unit preview videos, by looking at his stats and seeing, how he looks at level 99, how he looks at level 115, and how he looks at level 20. So you see those on the screen now, 99 on the left, 120 on the right, and 115 wedged in the middle. Is there a good stopping place for Cloud if you're going for him, or should you take him all the way to level 120? Well, this will help answer that question. You can see at level 99, his HP is pretty low at 2675, but a 378 attack for a level 99 unit is pretty respectable. 68 agility at level 99 is really good for a level 99 unit, especially someone who you're going to want to be like annihilating the enemy team. More turns for your DPS characters means more damage on the enemy. That's a great thing. Now, he gets a big jump in power from 99 to 115. His HP jumps up to 3171. His attack jumps up almost 100 points to 476. His agility staying the same, and importantly for Cloud, his dexterity and his luck get a boost. Cloud is a unit you really want to be critting, and so having like more dexterity will help him land more critical hits, so you want to see that dexterity stat creep higher and higher as he levels up. That 115 is a big power spike for him from level 99 to 115. I would say if you were going to have to quit and start slow building him at some point, if you wanted to get use out of him in the meantime, stopping at 115 and maybe slow building those last 200 Mind Spheres might not be the worst thing ever. But he does power up again from 115 to 120. His HP goes up by over 400 more points. His attack goes from 476 to 504, and getting north of 500 attack is going to feel really good on him. His agility does stay the same, but he gains more dexterity, which is going to be good. Like, critting is going to be very, very important for Cloud, and you're going to see that when we look at his skills, etc. Now let's check out his resistances real quick. They don't change from 99 to 120. He is very slash resistant at 15. He's moderately resistant to pierce. He's neutral to strike. Very resistant to missile, which is going to be a nice thing, and he's minus 10 to magic. Now that minus 10 to magic is obviously a little bit of a red flag, but a lot of the strong mages that have come out recently have been water mages, and you can see that Cloud does have 20 water resistance because he's a lightning unit. That's really nice for him. While he is a little bit weak to earth, earth is also relevant, and you're going to start to see maybe this like rainbow kind of PvP switching in, where people are either going to use mixed element teams or they're going to use like a certain element to counter another element, and I think the meta in global is going to shake up a little bit from that, and that's kind of exciting for me. So anyway, I do think Cloud powers up very, very well from 99 to 120, but I think statistically, if you stopped at 115, you could get a lot of really good work out of this guy at that breaking point, and then maybe slow build to 120. But like we say, stats does not tell the whole story. I'm actually not sure if my English was any good right there. I could listen to this part again and maybe like, put some, you know what? We're going to just roll with it. We're going to roll on because we got a lot more to talk about with our boy Cloud. One thing that people have been saying, some rumblings that I've been hearing, is that Cloud is as good as a cost 100 unit. They're saying he's as good as a double cost unit. And I was like, okay, maybe he is. Let's compare him to who I think is one of the best, if not the best double cost unit in global, and that's Dwayne. So let's put Cloud next to Dwayne on the screen. And right here, you see their base stats at level 120. Cloud on the left, Dwayne on the right. Let's see how they look, because even though these two units do perform slightly different roles, with Dwayne being able to generate some hate and maybe being more of a tank, Cloud is supposed to be annihilating people, and Dwayne is very, very good at killing people. If you've run into Dwayne in PvP, you know what I'm talking about. Dwayne is a god. Dwayne might be the best unit in Global, so if Cloud is going to try and like ascend to that mark, let's see how he stacks up against Global's best. So here they are. Dwayne, way more HP than Cloud, almost 1,000 more. Attack, Dwayne at almost 50 more attack than Cloud. Cloud is faster than Dwayne though, 68 agility to 62, and that is not insignificant. 6 agility is a nice boost, so there's an area where Cloud has an advantage. Dexterity and luck, pretty similar there. Dexterity is about the same. Luck, Dwayne just has a little bit more in both categories. Dwayne is bringing 10 defense, whereas Cloud is bringing 0. Both are move 3, jump 1, and then resistances. Here's a little bit of another difference here, right? Cloud is more resistant to slash, that's a good thing. Dwayne, though, more resistant to pierce, but very, very weak to strike. Cloud does not have that glaring striking weakness that a lot of units in Global have, so that's a feather in Cloud's hat. Cloud is weak to magic, whereas Dwayne is slightly strong to it. And then we get to the resistance, like the status resistances at the bottom. Cloud is 50% disable resistant. That's a big deal. Yes, Dwayne is bringing 10 disable resist, but disable is a crippling skill, and being resistant to that for Cloud is another big feather in his hat. Now, those stats that you just saw, those are base stats, and some people might say yes, but like Cloud or Dwayne have really impactful passive abilities. They're support abilities. If you applied those, what would their stats look like? Okay, so for this video, I went ahead and picked some passive abilities. I keep saying passive. I picked some support abilities and equipped them to Cloud and Dwayne so we can see what their stats look like with those abilities equipped. Let's put that on the screen here. And you can see it drastically changes the stats for both units. HP goes up, attack goes way up, nobody's agility changes, but let's see how they stack up here. Dwayne continues to have a lot more HP than Cloud. 5,000 HP for Dwayne. Now in this case for Dwayne, I'm not running his hate buff. Instead I'm running Viking lore on Dwayne, so keep that in mind. Maybe Dwayne will have slightly less HP than that if you're running his hate generation buff, but there we go. I wanted to compare them as attackers to each other and see like what they how they stack up. Notice how Cloud in this scenario has closed the gap considerably in attack. They basically have the same attack here. Cloud is at 631 while Dwayne is at 639. Then notice off to the side there, with their support abilities equipped, Cloud is at 60 defense pen. Dwayne is only at 20. That's a big deal. And when we get into looking at Cloud stats, you will start seeing that this dude is just not going to care very much about your unit's defense. Both of these units can pick up even more defense pin in certain ways where how you build them. Cloud starting at 60 from just equipping one support ability is a huge, huge deal. So keep that in mind when you're looking at Cloud stats. He's bringing 631 attack with 60 just like natural defense pin only from his support ability. That's massive. Okay, what else really changes here? Not a lot, except that Dwayne gets even tankier. Dwayne's defense goes up to 25, his slash resist jumps up to 20, which is now more than Cloud's. His pierce resist is 25. You can see that Dwayne does get significantly tankier than Cloud, and if I was comparing these stat pools to, just had to say which one was better, I do still like Dwayne's stat pool better than I like Cloud's, but that defense pin I think will allow Cloud to do more damage potentially than Dwayne, and I think this is kind of a fun comparison to do, Cloud to Dwayne, because in my mind they both can fulfill a very, very high damage role, and if Dwayne is one of the best units in Global and Cloud is trying to get there, I like making that comparison between the two. Just seeing how Cloud stacks up. I think he stacks up pretty well. I would still favor Dwayne's stat pool over Cloud's, but we haven't looked at abilities yet, and that's going to tell a big story, so let's look at those right now. And you know what? Before we get to abilities, let's take a minute and look at Cloud's TMR. Cloud's TMR is the shoulder, oh my god, that's hard to say, the soldier shoulder rest, or at least that's how it's translated from JP into English. Keep in mind, all of the things we're looking at here, this is the JP War of the Visions calc. It has not been updated for global yet. There might be some changes for global. We'll see when that happens, but is this actually a pretty good piece of gear? Now, it's an armor with 477 HP, 8 defense, and 8 spirit. I actually don't hate that stat line for a TMR armor. It's definitely not as good of stats as like a crafted, MR or UR armor, but it's not bad for a TMR. The skill on it is decrease AP consumption by 25% for 3 turns for yourself. That's not bad. It will obviously scale better with like your more expensive abilities. I don't love that, and I would say this TMR is not worth getting just in and of itself, but if you're running Cloud with like a really good sword plus a really good accessory and you needed to mix in an armor, I think this one could do the job for you. It's not terrible. Okay, there we go. That didn't need a ton of talking time. Let's look at the skills, because that's probably the most interesting thing here. Now, in the build that I just showed off, I was having Cloud run Former Soldier First Class, you see that one on the top, and Secret of the Nightblade. I think those are very, very good support abilities for him, and I think Former Soldier First Class is just an automatic equip in almost all situations. It gives him HP, 12%, and 60 defense penetration. This is where he's beginning that like ramp up to just not caring about anybody's defense. 60 defense pin is massive. Yes, it decreases his evasion rate, but who cares? He's not an evasion unit. Now it gets interesting when you start thinking about his second ability. Okay, Hunter's Knowledge gives him range +1 and accuracy +25. Like, maybe if you're running him as like a lightning bow user, like you want him to do range damage, that's an interesting option to be able to throw in there. Maybe you're running him with like Frederica and some like cheesy catch somebody off guard lightning missile comp. Okay, that's pretty cool. Then you go to Variety Store, that's move +1 and attack +24%. This could be very, very useful on certain maps where you need Cloud covering a little bit more ground, either for your turn 1 or 2 strategies to work out, or just to close the gap on the enemy. But then you get to Secret of the Nightblade. This has more attack at 30% than Variety Store does. Plus, it gives 25 accuracy and then just further decreases his evasion. We've already decided we don't really care about evasion on Cloud, I think, so more attack and more accuracy is phenomenal. I think Secret of the Nightblade here is probably your second support ability in most cases. He does also have access to concentration. If you want missile attack up, it's an option, it's there. Okay, counter abilities. Here we go. Now remember when we were comparing Cloud to Dwayne? And we said, look, on paper, Dwayne is a lot tankier than Cloud. Absolutely true. However, Cloud has that like ultimate RNG tankiness because he has Closeout, or at least that's what it's called here. We might also know this as Reflex. Yes, Cloud has Reflex. He has a 15% chance to just evade damage. Just magic, physical, doesn't matter. He'll just dodge it. It's one of the most tilting moves in the game, and he has it, so you're just gonna run that. Like, let's just be clear here. You're gonna run Reflex. All right, moving on. How about his main job? What kind of skills is Cloud bringing to the board? And how will these play out in a fight? This is what's really gonna make him good or bad. Okay, let's go down the list. Braver. It's a slash resistance debuff on the target, and it deals 121% damage. It's fairly short ranged at 3, has a range height of 1, and doesn't do a lot of damage. That slash resistance debuff could be really good against somebody stacking slash resistance, but Cloud is mostly going to be a defense penetrator, not a slashing resist penetrator in my opinion. Next up, Brave Mode. This is a self buff that increases his critical rate by 20, increases his AoE resistance by 25, and then further decreases his evasion. Cloud ain't dodging, you guys. Like, let's be clear about this. Cloud not dodging anything, all right? He has so many ways of decreasing his evasion. It's insane. He's almost like saying, bring it on, bro. Just hit me, bro. Hit me. So that's kind of what he's doing, and that's pretty cool, I think. So the AoE resistance is going to be a big deal here, because if he's not your tank, he might still catch some AoEs from like Helena or more, if you're targeting a water team, etc. So that AoE resist is a nice helper for him, because remember, he's lacking magic resistance. That kind of helps cover that a bit. Crit rate +20 is a huge deal on Cloud. You want him critting as much as possible. This is a good buff. Okay, let's keep going. All right. Rapid Chain, which gets upgraded to Rapid Chain Kai. Again, translations, we'll see what that's actually called when it comes out. This is one of his best moves. Okay, first of all, check it out. It's an AoE 100% attack that's a 3-hit combo. So it's a chainer, it's an AoE chainer, and it's a 100% hit with a 999% boosted crit chance with the EX upgrade. So this attack is super good. He's going to crit. He's going to crit everybody he can hit in the AoE with a 121% damage chain. Very, very, very good attack. And if you were thinking about countering Cloud with like an Earth Evasion team with like Ketone or something like that, he might just be able to put Ketone in the ground with this attack. Keep that in mind. I think this is his best attack, or one of his best attack in my opinion. Next up, another buff. This is a group buff. You can see it hits kind of in the AoE around him. Soldier's Pride. Attack plus 40% for 3 turns. And the interesting part here, something Cloud is bringing that other units have not brought before, is AP Restore 10 when you perform a critical hit. So you can start to see the synergy here. He drops this buff early on, then he walks up and starts critting people with a 16 AP cost move that restores 10 AP when he uses it, which means it only costs him 6. He's going to generate, what's half of 34? 17? He'll generate 17 AP just from using Soldier's Pride's buff. He will then use this move that will only cost him 6 because it's going to crit. And you can see he's not going to have a lot of AP problems if he's performing that little 1-2 combo there. Moving on. He has this move Slash. You see it on the screen here. It's 200% damage, so that's a nice large damage skill. That also has a 25% chance of paralyzing a target for 3 turns. It has a good range on of 3, so there it is. A lot of units have this. Now, his gets upgraded to 240% damage. This is now an extra large damaging ability with a chance of paralyzing. That's pretty dang good. Now, do you want him using that instead of Rapid Chain? I don't know. You'll have to like tweak the AI, turn skills on and off depending on what you want him to do. But know that that move's going to hit really, really dang hard. Then, his job level 25 ability. This is a big option for people who are thinking about taking him to Lob Job level 25. And you know, I don't love this ability a whole lot. It's Mega Slash right here. It's a 170% damage move with a bonus crit chance, so it will probably crit, that hits in a small AoE around him. It kind of reminds me of like Earthen Glory, an ability that like Eileen and other Lancers have. I think this will hit pretty hard because it's going to crit, but I'd honestly rather have Cloud doing his other moves most of the time, unless he can find that like perfect spot here to just annihilate 2 people or more. It's a nice addition to his kit, but I don't think it's like amazingly good. And so if you were slow building Cloud from 115 to 120, here's the skill you'd be missing out on, and you know, maybe that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Okay, continuing down the list. His Soldier FF7 sub-job has 2 moves in it. Infinity End, which is a just 165% damage with a chance of stunning when it's performed as a critical hit. So Cloud does have a nice high crit chance, getting a 50% chance to stun on a crit. This will probably proc if he's critting with it. That gives this move some utility, and a lot of raid bosses or PvE bosses are weak to stun. So keep that in mind. Then he also has Break here, which is 165% element-only attack. You can see it is only lightning element. It scales purely off of attack and hits in a really like shotgun-based AoE here. This is kind of a cool move. Has a 25% chance of inflicting blind, but Cloud also nerfs his own evasion so much he ain't dodging even if the target's blind, let's be real. It's neat. Like, it's only elemental, so it won't be able to be resisted by like slash resistance, so that's cool. I see where they're going with this, but will you run Soldier sub-job for that? I don't know. Let's look at his other sub-jobs real quick. Okay, for sub-jobs, Cloud is bringing Ranger and Nightblade. Ranger, this one's going to be covered real quick. You run Ranger if you want access to a second damage type, or if you're running Cloud in conjunction with somebody like Frederica in like a lightning missile team, and you want to have something to deal with like slash resistance stacking targets. He has access to Barrage here, which is a really good move, or if you're doing some PvE like lightning missile chaining thing, boom, there's Ranger. You have lightning missile moves if you need that to mix in a second damage type. That's really cool. Now, Nightblade, I think, is his more interesting and will be his more commonly run sub-job, purely for this buff right here, Concentration. It's going to be a slash attack buff to Cloud and his allies, and it will increase Cloud's defense penetration by 20 more. Remember, he's already going to be sitting at 60 just from his support abilities. This will put him to 80% defense penetration, which means he's not going to care very much about target's defense. So that's really cool. That's the big draw from Nightblade. Honestly, the attacks in Nightblade are pretty mediocre. He probably won't use them. Double resist is a nice buff, so you'll also get that for running this sub job, which is pretty cool as well. But really, you want that defense pin, and I think that's going to be the way to go with Cloud. Now, his limit break, Climb Hazard. This is a good limit break. I would not necessarily call it an overpowered limit break. First of all, the range on it is very good at 5, and it's going to break barriers before it deals damage. So here's how this works. Barriers off, then critical evasion for the target is lowered, and then 200% slashing lightning damage is applied. It costs 43 AP, so that's a little steep. Limit breaks tend to be steep, but this is a nice way of breaking down a barrier on a target before you apply the damage, which will, dramatically increase the value of the damage. So if you're fighting against a target that is like stacking defense and running a physical barrier, and that's how they plan to deal with Cloud, he has a direct way of dealing with them. Doesn't care about defense because he has so much defense pin, and then he takes off their barrier with his limit break, or he takes off their barrier with his 3-hit attack, setting them up for his next attack. So Cloud's really, really gonna be a big time damage dealer. And when we get back to comparing him with Dwayne, a lot of Dwayne's threat comes from his status effects. Dwayne does a ton of damage, but that disable is really, really crippling for Dwayne. And then Dwayne is a really good unit, right? Cloud will get a lot of his damage, a lot of his threats going to come from defense pin and being able to remove those shields. So I think that Cloud might even out damage Dwayne, which is a big deal because Dwayne, for being as tanky as he freaking is like such a threat as well. So there you go. That's the Cloud preview video. We looked at his skills, his stats, we compared him to Dwayne. I'm thinking about doing another video where I just compare Cloud to like other DPS units in the game, just for fun before he comes out, just as like a fun video to do. So look forward to that if you want to see it. Yeah, I think I will do that. That sounds like a fun idea. I think I just decided that I'm gonna make that video. Anyway, that's gonna wrap up this video. It's probably pretty long at this point. I haven't looked at the timer. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.